let's continue to see Sid's protective role come through and see how our protagonist's fear transforms as the story continues. Welcome, dear Mariham. May this reading relax your mind and awaken your heart. They had left the house to continue. The sublime landscape of our ascent, the flower-filled alpine meadows and brilliant snow-capped mountains had been transformed into one of cold indifference. Thick fog surrounded us, making trudgy downhill more treacherous than the uphill climb. I stayed close behind Sid, treading carefully but sure-footedly to avoid slick patches of ice, slush, loose boulders, and gravel. I silently chanted, "So-hum, So-hum," a mantra that means "I am that," referring to the divine, and shut out all thought. It was when we stopped to rest after an hour of steady plodding, I love that word, plodding, that I became overcome by an overwhelming fatigue. A convulsing headache and dizziness followed. I began to shiver. "I'm burning up," I said. "I'm not going to make it." But Sid appeared unconcerned. "Altitude sickness. We've been going too fast," he said. "But I've been taking pills, yet I feel nauseous." He was staring up at the darkening sky. "It's about to storm again. There's a cave near here where we can wait it out." "I can't move." He gathered me up, knapsack, hiking poles and all, and struck a cross-slope maneuver that got us into the trees, then stopped to take his bearings. "I'm sorry," I said. "I really can't walk." I was calm and at peace. I was not going to escape. I was going to die in this lonely, God-forsaken place, I had decided. Wasn't this what I had longed for all along? "There it is." He was pointing to a mass of dense foliage a few feet away. He set me down unceremoniously, pulled leafy branches aside, and disappeared into a hollow that had been camouflaged by the shrubbery. He came out waving his flashlight. "Checking for bears," he said. I struggled up and we entered the hollow. He rearranged the foliage across the opening, then spun his flashlight around, examining what I could see was a fairly large space. Slivers of light seeped in between the twigs and branches spread across the opening. I lowered myself onto a stone ledge a foot off the ground, covered myself with a blanket, and tucked my knapsack under my head. He placed the flashlight at my side. I was feverish and could barely breathe. The shelf, while narrow, was level and the cave dry and warm. I slept fitfully, conscious of the hard rain that had begun and my worsening condition. My nose was running, my headache had reached migraine proportions, and my throat was parched. Even so, I must have slept. Suddenly I was up, clutching the flashlight and waving it wildly in a wide arc. I was alone. I lay back. If Sid had gone for help, the rescue party would be too late. On the other hand, he may not have gone for help. His erratic behavior had been disturbing, but would he abandon me? I rolled off the ledge and fell to the ground on all fours. I managed a painful crawl to the opening, where I parted a few branches. The rain was coming down in sheets, with thunder and sudden flashes of lightning that lit up the trees. I was turning away when I saw him out in the open, lit bizarrely by a sudden flash of light. He was bare-chested, and his body exuded an eerie white tinge. Rivulets circled around his bare feet. The hard rain slapped against his back. Thunder roared, lightning flashed, but he was completely still, untouched. There was a sudden moment, a movement, and to my horror, a thick black and yellow striated snake slithered over his feet, then disappeared into the underbrush. I screamed and screamed, but made no sound. As if hearing me, he slowly began to turn in my direction, but I fell back, lost my footing, and collapsed to the ground. Why don't we pause our reading of Moksha, liberation, there for now. Right on a cliffhanger, almost literally, being up in the caves of the cliffs of the Himalayas. Beautiful symbolism there. Anyone wants to share feelings of the story so far, you're welcome to. Or similar experiences being out in nature. I hope no one ever has to go through a situation where they're in such a survival situation like that, but they can make for some pretty interesting stories, that for sure. I'm glad you liked the writing, dear Fiddleleaf. Me too. I love the symbolism of nature in general in stories as something out of control, as something that you must respect, as a transformer. Always a kind of passing of the threshold when a character in a story has to go through the elements of nature. Anyway, thank you all for listening. I look forward to continuing with this story next time.